Okay, we are here. Wow. Doesn't look that great, does it? What's up? Too much light, too little light? I don't know. All right, welcome to Real Amigos. Thank you, everybody, for having some patience with us today. Ian is late. That's just all it comes down to. Ian's late. No, I had to pick up my son from school today. I'm sure a lot of you are back to school. So had to go pick up my son from school. So I was late, and then Ian was late. He was getting catfish or something like that. So he'll be on in just a second. But yes, so we got quite a few things to go over today. So I'm kind of excited. First things first, I was right again. The prices for the Austin area actually went up for July. So your boy was right again. That's just because I'm following the data. Right on time. Princess G is right on time. You're 45 minutes late, Princess G, but you're on time because we were late. So don't worry about that. Seeing price cuts, but lower inventory. Yeah, I'm not seeing lower inventory. So it's interesting is I think we saw less inventory hit the market this week because we were seeing 500 or 600 homes hit the market every week. And then last week, I think with school starting back, we only saw 350 or 400. So not as much hit the market, but still. In fact, don't lie to you. Let me pull up the information. I'm good at that. Ian, where are you? It's different by zip code. Yeah. Aaron says different by zip code. It's and funny is I have one listing over there, Aaron, in 787-678-660. Okay, cool. So interesting. So we got about 5 topics Ian and I are going to talk about. He's coming back from grabbing catfish or something. I feel like my screen is just not right today. What do you think? What do you think? As I like to say, what did I tell you guys? Yeah, 4 minutes is what Ian says. Let me grab. Oh, come on. I'm slacking today. I'm not gonna lie. The last couple days, I've been a little I don't know, just not into it as much. I was trying to get some content shot this week, and instead of shooting, I try to put out stuff on my Instagram. If you're gonna see my Instagram, I put stuff out there. I've been trying to shoot stuff for this channel, and I don't know. Maybe it's back to school. I'm just not feeling it as much. What are you? Are you not feeling it as much? Drop a comment below. Want to hear from you there. But all right, let's focus. Share screen. There we go. Ian saved me. I'm drowning today, man. That one. No. What the heck? Why can't I even see this? Okay. Safari. What? Okay. Well, it's saying that I can't click on my screens for some reason, which is weird. Seeing Perry and Lennar with price increases. Yeah, what's interesting is that I said this in a video that I dropped yesterday, that we have a lot of if you look at the price decreases that are hitting the market, and if you look at some of these builders, they're actually not price decreases. The price decreases from where they were, but they were inflated prices. One example I showed was in Kyle, a property initially listed for $575. This builder, I don't even remember which one it was, but they were price decreasing it from $629 down to $627, but initially listed at $575. So interesting that we're seeing stuff like that. As a person that doesn't make YouTube videos, I can confidently say I'm not feeling as much to make YouTube videos, Jeremy. Yeah. I don't know. It's I feel like all I do is talk about the market, and it's just I feel like at a certain point I can only say the same thing so many times. What does the increase mean month over month? Will it continue to be a gradual increase? What's interesting is, so I think this is a one-off month. I really don't think that, I think when we look at the August numbers, they're going to be down to where I thought they would start to go, which is you'll probably around the 600 mark from 667 was the high. I'm really not figuring out why this isn't letting me share. Window. Share. Go to system preferences, unlock the screen by selecting the lock bottom on the corner. That's freaking weird. Shit. Oh, well. Ian, we're going to have to load it on your side, man. Ian had to get a latte. Yeah, Ian's out here. Why am I not able to add this? It'd be nice if Ian was here because then I could go add it while we're talking. But all right, so here we go. So a couple of the articles that I have today. Number one, the MLS, like I said, we're about 10,400 units on the market. But what's interesting about the price increases or the price decreases that we saw, however you look at it, we're at 2.7 months inventory is what came out for the Austin MSA. So with MSAs, like just the Austin area in general. So like Williamson County, Hayes, all that good stuff. But the city of Austin's only 2.4. I would have thought that city of Austin would have been closer to 3. What's interesting about these numbers is when I look at these numbers and I pull all of the MLS numbers for the city of Austin, and I showed like 950 or 945 sales. And what's interesting is they only show 835. The company that does this, it's Texas A&M or Texas A&M does the numbers for us. So I don't know why. Try Control Alt Delete twice. I think that'll turn off my whole computer. It's just weird that it won't show. The Fed has more rate hikes on the way in court. What's interesting about that? So I've been following the Fed rate hikes, and if you look at the Fed rate hikes, we actually saw the Fed would raise the rate, but by the time they raised the rate, they'd already priced in a lot of the gains or the price increases. So what we actually saw, if you're looking at, which you can't see on my screen for some dumb reason, interest rates actually went down right at the time that they announced the last Fed rate hike. And now they've come back up. I think the average was like 4.88. So it's still not over 5%, which is interesting, but it's still pretty high, 4.88. And I think that's still, I mean, obviously you tell me, but I think that's slowing buyers down from buying. But the reality is that 4.8 is high, yes. But right now you can negotiate. We just negotiated. So my wife just negotiated for a client on an $800 and something thousand house. She got it down, I want to say like 30 grand plus some incentives. And what's interesting is when she was writing up the offer, she actually wrote it for another property first. And the seller was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to sell my house. I'm not going to reduce the price. You pay for all this. You pay for all that. You pay for all this. And Eileen and I were both like, yeah, not the same market, guys. So we backed out and they ended up having to pull that house off the market, and she put them under contract on a different one. So pretty interesting. It's just totally different market for sellers. I don't think sellers are really prepared for this market. Alt F4 is what I don't have alt. It's a Mac. Alt F4, maybe Command F4. No, it's a screenshot. Option F4. I don't know. It's weird. And all the time I haven't had this problem. The seller, their agent didn't want to correct the remediation and the HVAC air duct to kill the mold. Yeah, that'll happen. How's dripping treating me? Don't do Alt F4. Okay. So that's one thing. So we just negotiated on a property is listed or like 1.8 million. We're under contract well below that. And we basically, so there's different ways to do this when you're going to negotiate for things to get repaired. You can either just negotiate on the repairs themselves. So you say, okay, it's going to cost $4 grand. We want $4 grand off the price, or we want $4 grand and we'll fix it. Or you can just say, hey, here's all the things to fix, get them fixed. What's interesting is what's interesting about that is we actually gave the seller a list, like here's 10 things we want corrected, and they corrected 8 of the 10, which you don't see very often. It's pretty interesting to see. I just don't see that very often, but it's interesting that you would have somebody that wouldn't want to create unless there was actually no mold. But if you have somebody showing there's mold, I'd imagine there's mold. So it's weird. What city is that in, Spencer? Is that here in Austin? I don't really hear too much. I hear people talk about mold a lot in Austin, but I don't ever see mold. So like, you know, I have buyers like, oh, the mold's a huge problem in Austin. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't ever see a mold problem. Now, every now and then you do, but not as much as I hear people talk about it. How's Dripping Springs? Dripping Springs is great, actually. It sucks that, we were in Circle C, so everything was a little bit closer. So I have to I'm driving around Rock or Georgetown, whatever, showing homes or meeting sellers. And it's a lot longer of a drive. I mean, it's easily about 20 more minute drive. So it kind of sucks for that reason, but it's not bad. I mean, it's fun, like getting to go to all the places in Dripping Springs. There's a lot of really great restaurants that I had never even thought of. So, all right. What did you say? New build? No. Also, our lender shared the appraisal info with the seller. Oh, that sucks. Which confirmed 15K in equity. Yeah. Ooh, that takes away all your negotiating right there. Yeah, right. Exactly. Basically killed all of our negotiation. That sucks. Sometimes you get lenders that are just so excited to move forward. And like right now, my phone is blowing up with lenders every day. Lenders like, "Hey, Jeremy, haven't heard from you in a long time. We want, we need some business. Give us some business." I'm like, no. But yeah, when you get an overzealous lender that sends that stuff out on accident, it's a real pain in the ass. It takes away your negotiating skills. That's why you got to have a good lender. I'm curious who the lender is. You don't have to say, but Ian, what's up, dude?
Oh my gosh, man. I was just trying to, like we talked about, I just wanted to make sure I was professional, not eating and smacking and driving while we're doing our podcast. So I'm here. Food's good. Glad to see everybody. The market's fun, right?
The market is fun, man. We had a bunch of topics to talk about. For some reason, it's not letting me pull it up. Once you start talking, I'll figure it out. But
yeah, I was listening in. Can I pull up the one of those?
Yeah. Yeah. Pull them up on your side, because for whatever reason, it's just not doing it on mine.
No worries.
It's saying I lost the ability to do that. So DePT, did I say that right? DePete. I feel it's a good time to watch new construction homes. Builders will need to sell their old inventory, and then they will slow down build. You know what's interesting about this, and I've said this in my last video, but I need to say it again. So are you paying attention to what's happened with the Evergrande stuff in China, Ian?
Are you asking that question open?
So open-ended. Are you paying attention to it? Have you heard?
Yeah, I'm reading it, but I don't know that I understand everything and how it'll impact us in the U.S. So,
all right. So you have Evergrande, which is this big company that is a big builder, and so what they're doing was building all of these apartment complexes, right? So they'll take money from you, right? And you'd give them your $80,000 deposit. And instead of building your unit, they were using that 80 grand to go build other properties and build more inventory. So basically kind of like a Ponzi scheme. Well, if you think about it, that's what builders in Austin did. I've never had they have the builder confidence thing, which is total BS. It's just how builders are feeling, right? You've even said that. But all of these builders, that's what they did. They took your earnest money deposits and used it to start building inventory. Now we have too much inventory. They thought that they had all of these buyers when in fact, they had all those buyers at a specific price. They didn't have all these buyers at a new price. Aaron's saying it's actually even worse than that. And I know I'm doing the highlights version of that, but it's pretty interesting because that's what builders did here. They took your money, they started speccing out other homes. Now they have all this other inventory and they can't even get your own freaking house built. Like the house that you were under contract on is taking 18, 19, 20 months to build. It's ridiculous. Now, look, that's not all builders. There's some good builders out there. And I know I rag on builders quite a bit, but I have good relationships with some of these builders, but some of them, geez.
And if you look at a lot of the articles related to that, everything's coming out about China and their real estate collapse. And that was, that we got to be careful about that word, but just like Aaron said, a lot of their wealth is in real estate.
Right.
And so that really does affect their market and what they're able to do from there.
Right. All right. Well, cool. I'm glad you had this up. I like how you have your real dashboard up there. That's nice. I check that thing about 13 times a day now.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's
so funny.
Yeah. So, okay. So walk us through this article. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is we had already known that Apple said that they were going to invest here, and everybody kept going, well, when and what are they investing? And so from what I understand, the original plan was to build the Mac Pro, so desktop machines. I don't know if that's still going to be, if it's still going to be a manufacturing plan or what, but they finally passed phase 2, which means they're going to start construction, or they're pretty close to starting construction on it. They've got 3 buildings that they're going to start building. A combined cost of almost 300 million. Talks about the buildings, and then if you add the square footage together, one of the buildings is 1.2 million square feet. So
Jeez.
altogether, you're just shy of 2 million square feet, I think is what it is. Yeah, when you're looking at the numbers. And then also completion starts on February 1st, 2023, and should be done by February 2025. And obviously that's going to impact our jobs, and every other aspect of our local economy, because they're adding 3,500 parking spaces or parking spaces for 3,500 cars. So now that brings me to, well, what's Apple's policy on working remote? How far ahead are they thinking they're going to start calling people back? There's just a lot around it. And then if we look at the location, we've talked about this location a lot. It's over by Jollyville, Brushy Creek area, northwest Austin. What?
John said, did Ian say professional after arriving 45 minutes late? It was almost an hour.
I mean, again, I could have been eating, what was it, Mr. Catfish and more while I was driving, or I could just wait until I get here.
That's
but
funny.
Also, we were both kind of planning on the fly. So we appreciate that you're here waiting for us and working with us and talking to us.
You know what's interesting about that, Ian? I don't know if you can pull up this article, but the city of Austin keeps talking about how they want everything to be more affordable, right? They want more affordable housing, affordability. Yeah. It's a crisis, all that. You could probably pull up there in Austin Business Journal that city council just voted to increase the fees for commercial properties. So basically what they're doing is they want to be able to create more green space. So they've increased the developer cost again. So either you have to give the city back space for parks, or you have to build so much in parks, but the fees associated are actually higher. So this is what I was going into when I was talking about, the new tax a while ago, is they keep saying they want to do things that are to help make it more affordable. But unfortunately, when you add more costs to developers, those costs, where do they go, Ian? Does the developer eat those costs?
Oh, they just disappeared entirely. Come on.
Yeah, those costs don't mean anything anymore, right?
It's free.
So it's just going to make things more expensive. I don't understand this city, man. They do stuff so backwards. They follow California, right? If California does something, Austin's going to do it next.
That it's really funny you say that. I just, our friend Dan Parker in San Diego, he just dropped a TikTok and he said that California passed or is passing a law where they're no longer going to even allow gas appliances. I believe that's what it is, gas appliances at all at your property. So everything's moving to electric, and they already have like extraordinarily high electric bills, plus your electric vehicles. And so that's going to be, my comment on his TikTok was, oh, well, Austin might follow suit then. I don't know how long, but that's going to happen.
Yeah. So back to your thing about, going back to the office though. I mean, even Random Bruh, nice. I love the name. I'm in tech. Most companies are pulling back the whole remote work setup. So I think what he's saying is they're no longer doing remote setup. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And I guess my question would be, is there a percentage? Is there certain departments? Like what percentage of companies or what percentage of people at these tech companies are required to go back to traditional or a hybrid work policy?
I think it's tough because companies, I was listening to Patrick Bet David, which he did an interview with Stephen, what's his name? Stephen Graham.
Graham Stephan.
Graham Stephan, yeah. And so he was saying to the fact, he's like, it's funny, it's like all these companies that are states that wanted work from home are the states that everybody moved out of. Which is pretty interesting. I'm a little annoyed in that interview with Graham Stephan, though. I would have loved to seen Graham Stephan push back on Patrick Bet-David a little bit, as far as like Patrick Bet-David's been going hard in the paint about a housing market crash. Yet in his interview with Graham Stephan, he was like, oh, well, Graham was like, well, what are you investing in? He's like, well, I'm buying, real estate that's like real estate you can't buy anywhere else. So buying waterfront property and buying, properties in specific school districts and all this other stuff. Like, wait, so you're the one calling for a market crash, but you're also buying real estate. Interesting. Number two, what he was talking about is he keeps crapping all over realtors because realtors make a commission. What's interesting is the dude has businesses where it's all pure sales, all pure commission. Right. So he's got insurance companies. Now, nothing against insurance companies. And I've said this before, but it's like pretty interesting to me. Insurance companies, you don't make money unless you sell somebody something. So it's like the same thing. Like, I don't understand why he's so mad at realtors. Anyway, that's my thing. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I like Kevin's nerdy joke.
3.1459%. Yep.
Pie, man.
Is it Pie Day? All right. There are some companies that are not entertaining the whole work from home option. Real estate turns out is not a very good work from home business. Ian's in the car eating fish on the way home.
I mean, it's fine. It's just what we have to be able to do is adapt. And that, it just didn't work out today. I was actually out in Bee Cave trying to fix a lockbox.
Really?
Seriously, for a listing. It's just crazy.
How are your listings going? Because I've seen some pretty interesting stuff happening with listings.
Let's talk about those listings.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh my gosh. So we had for one of the listings, we had an open house over the weekend. And I mean, I put ads out. There was all sorts of advertising outside of that, just shared posts and everything. It was obviously advertised on the MLS. There were snacks and all that sort of stuff. 2 families. Oh, and a price drop. We dropped the price about $15,000, and it is now substantially lower than comps per square foot, price per square foot. So, I mean, the house could use a little bit of love, but it's definitely priced well. And we had done all this pre-weekend to plan for this open house to gain some more traction and traffic. And it blows my mind. It's a low tax neighborhood, great lower price for a starter home. It's in Round Rock, just barely east of I-35. And 2 families came through. That is
what was the price on it again?
$435.
Really? So under 500,
2.5.
Under 500, low tax rate,
2.2 and some change tax rate.
So I did so one of your articles, Ian, if you want to pull it up now that we're on this, was about the apartment rental prices going up. So if you want to pull that up as we start talking,
there it is.
Here we go. Here's what's interesting. So I have a listing. So speaking about listings, I had a listing that we were on the market. We were obviously overpriced. My seller really couldn't price reduce any further. And what we ended up doing was I said, look, we're at this point. The house is vacant. Let's talk about putting it up for lease at the same time as selling it. Because obviously you need either to lease it or sell it. You're not going to get the price that you want for it right now unless we reduce another, at that time was like another 25 grand. A house across the street, which is not as nice at all. Not as nice floor plan wise as well. Like if you were to buy the 2, everybody would pick our floor plan over. Yet they price reduced it 100 grand below where we were at. 100 G's. And so people are like, well, that house is 100 grand less. Why would we buy your house? I'm like, the floor plan's nicer. Like, here's all the reasons why. But when you tell people that, they look at 100 grand. Anyway, we put this thing up for lease, and we put it for lease you know, probably $200 higher than I think it should have leased for. Boom. I had people in and out of that door. And what's interesting is there was like 4 other homes for lease in that neighborhood, and it went like that. So it shows you that floor plan was a nice floor plan, everything, but the price just wasn't the right price with what we're seeing in price reductions. But to your point about, and why you sent me this article, what's the increase in rentals?
Well, let's pause for a sec. So, or talk more about that. So in that same neighborhood, there are 2 other houses. I think one is Orchard and one is Opendoor, something like that, that are priced ridiculously high, that are comps for this, but they're sitting there. They've been there for more than 2 months, just sitting there, and they haven't adjusted the price at all. So I think that's damaging a little bit, right? You're probably thinking, well, why is this one so much less? And they've got these sitting here, right? So that's a psychological deterrent. And then we even went and looked at the Opendoor option, and Opendoor didn't even offer anything close to where we were because they had these other houses sitting there for so long.
Right.
They know the game. They're the ones that caused this, right? Not solely, but they helped cause this issue in isolated neighborhoods, I feel.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think Opendoor, Zillow, and all of those companies that did the iBuyer program, a lot of the things that they did are coming to bite them in the butt. But let's also be mindful. Opendoor is, as much as we've seen the articles about they were misguiding homeowners or whatever. I think it's really interesting because they do make a lot of money off their other services. And so in real estate, if you look at it in real estate, I can make money selling homes. I can make money flipping homes. There's a lot of ways to make money.
Well, holding the homes,
just holding
gaining equity, right?
I could, Kevin had talked about this a while ago on the channel. Like, we could create our own REITs and just like get people. I just felt that it was probably not the best thing to. I could see us getting in a lot of trouble creating a REIT as a YouTube channel and people investing. I just think there's too many issues that could happen, but there's so many things to do. But if I want to make good money on the side, what can I do? I can sign a JV with a lender. I can sign a JV with a title company. I can sign a JV and promote even on this channel. If I wanted to make extra money, I could go to all of these vendors that are out there and go, hey, I will promote you on the YouTube channel. In fact, I've been approached by this, but it said, no, it's not really what I'm looking for. So there's a lot of ways to make money. So I see where Opendoor went wrong with trying to deceive people and all this, but the model of having your hands in a lot of pots it's a smart business move. I mean, I get mad at builders for doing that, because builders will usually have a relationship with a lender. They do a very terrible job, in my opinion, of disclosing that relationship. They'll have, relationships with title companies so they get better fees and stuff like that. So, it's smart business wise, but I just don't feel like it's always the best thing to do. It's slimy,
Well, and that goes to what's their long-term projection and growth strategy. Are they interested in getting in a market, making a lot of money and getting out? Or are they like I'm going to use Scott Felder as a builder, for example, where they get in and they have top-notch quality, and that's all they focus on is the quality. And they know that their name is representative of the quality of work that they're putting in.
Yeah, and that's why I like Highland Homes. I just did a video about Highland the other day. I like Highland Homes. Scott Felder's a good one, but you're right. There are certain builders out there that we walk into with a buyer client, and we already know, like, hey, we're going to see 5 builders today, right? I know for a fact you're going to like this builder the most, because when we walk in, you're going to actually see quality. When we walk through their stuff being built, you're going to see, and that's one thing. This is a big tip. You should do a TikTok on this, Ian. Great TikTok for you to do, is the fact that you, as a buyer, when you're looking at a builder, you should walk through the homes that they're completing and look for the bad work that they're doing or corner cutting. I would walk through more than just one home. right? Because you're going to walk through the builder, the model home, and it's everything. They put every single dollar that they could waste on that home to get you to write an offer on another home that won't even look close to that. But if you want to see what builders are doing, and if they're cutting corners, walk through their job sites. If their job sites are just atrocious and they look bad and it's just awful, you know what you're buying.
Yeah, man. If you look at the cost of just any inventory home or most homes being built or under construction versus the model home, you're looking at, it could be from $100,000 to $400,000 or $500,000, depending on the price point of these homes. I'm talking $500,000 home. You could end up adding another $300,000 in options at least in some of these builders. It's crazy for their model home, specifically for their model home.
Right. I mean, it's easily, I've seen the model home. So I've seen this where, like, let's say the median price for development is like $450,000. And you go to the model home, and the model home's easily a $650,000 house.
Well, that's the thing. You have to ask them, right? Say, how much would it cost for me to be able to deck out my home exactly like this? And they don't like that question. And, they might like this question.
Yeah.
But, especially if you have the cash to be able to pay for it. But then you have to think, would it cost you that much to make those same changes? And how many of those are actually going to appreciate the value of your home or enhance your quality of life? Like trim, for example, a little door trim. That could be $4,000 to add an inch of trim around the bottom of your baseboards. And it's like, if I already have 4 inches, do I need 5?
What do you think is the one thing that buyers should buy on a home is that's an upgrade that they don't?
Oh, I love that. Man, I love that question. Good question. What I always consult my buyers with is we look at what's structural versus what is something that can be changed later at an adjustable cost, right? So an example is flooring. That one's a tough one, but let's go to patio. You can't add a patio as easily later for less than the builder is going to do it.
Right.
Often. Same thing with like a third car garage. If you're starting to affect the structure of the home, bay windows, those sorts of things, that's something you really want to consider prior to making that commitment. But a lot of these things inside, the paint colors and trim and tile and all that, who cares? You can do that at any time.
So one thing I think, this is a maintenance thing that I think most buyers, if you're buying and building, most builders don't offer as a standard that you have to absolutely eat the cost and add it, is gutters. Why builders do not make that a standard is beyond me. They might be.
They used to. A lot of them used to offer that as a standard. You don't even have a choice.
Well, come on. How many times do you go to like a 2005 home around Austin? No gutters. All the time.
Gosh.
So you want to know why
the foundation's all crackled up, and they're like, well, why is that?
Yeah, why is the foundation so bad? So that's one thing. What's interesting is you were talking about the price difference about building. If you look at the model, I have a client, and tell me if you've ever had this here in High Point. They liked the model so much that they found the lot that they wanted and literally piece by piece built the model home as their home. Every detail that the model home had, they spent. So on a home that they could have probably got for $680 at the time. Can you imagine that? High Point 680? I mean, $1 million right now. Easy. For a home that they paid $680, they should have paid $680 on, they easily paid almost $800 on it. Maybe it was a little more, maybe $820. Yet those homes in High Point right now are easily $1 million. So they still did good. Fridge.
Yeah, but it's not just because of the upgrades, right? Like that's not why it's worth it. It's just because the whole area. Another thing I always say is don't outfit your. Be careful, not don't. Be careful when you outfit your home so much so that it's the most expensive in the neighborhood. Right. Yes. So you add all these options and stuff, and you're expecting to get some return on investment. A lot of people are expecting to get a return on investment. If you're the most expensive in the neighborhood, it gets a little challenging. If you're in a neighborhood where there are a lot of similar style homes and builders.
Right. Well, So it depends on how long you're going to live in the house too, right?
Oh, of
I would
course.
say, yeah, I would say if you're building your forever home, your forever home is going to still be a 6-year home. Like what is it? People move every like 5 to 6 years. I love how people go, this is my forever home. And I'm like, I will see you in probably 5 years and we'll probably sell this home in 6. That's exactly what happens most of the time. So I would say if you are doing that and you want to spec out a home and just throw every piece of upgrade you can in there, go for it. But I would definitely keep the receipts, because when you go to promote the property, when you go to sell it in the future, if you have the receipts, we did all these upgrades, it's a good thing to show. Most people don't care, but it's still a good thing to show. It's like, do you ever have an inspection done? Like, do you ever tell your sellers, it's a great idea to have an inspection done and put that on the MLS before? Do you do that? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes, but sometimes if you know there's going to be problems, that's a good idea. But for the most part, let the buyer pay that $600. What else do you think? What else do you think would be one thing that if you were advising a client that was building a new build or buying a home that would say, we need to put X in it immediately? What do you think that would be?
Am I going to say a pool?
Definitely don't put
Oh yeah, that's not.
Dude, Justin Conacat was on here. This is amazing. Justin out of London, Canada. I'm gonna be on his podcast tomorrow. I'm pretty stoked.
Nice, pretty stoked. So I like your comment about the gutters. I think another addition. So I guess this is an open-ended question. How do you feel about blinds and upgrading them?
Oh my God.
Right. So, because the reason why that comes up, Kevin asked a question, about a fridge and appliances. The builders will flat out tell you, they'll pull you to the side. They'll say, hey, listen, you could we're marking this up like 50%. You could probably get it on sale on Labor Day for much cheaper. The only issue today is that you have to wait for the delivery, right? And you can't just go in and replace all appliances. But if you're doing an outdoor kitchen, outdoor patio set with a kitchenette, or if you're getting special, commercial size fridges and stuff, that sort of thing, and the builder's covering the cost, that's going to cost you a lot more than if you were to just do it yourself later.
Yeah, man, blinds is one of those things. I don't think people understand, and I don't know if it's, let's see, I put blinds in my last house in 2018. So it's not a supply issue, but blinds are freaking expensive.
Dude, I had a supply issue with blinds. I actually when we moved into this place, I redid all the blinds, and I wanted some that were blackout for the office, and I wanted everything to be automated. And so ended up having a couple of blackout sections, nothing automated. And to this day, I don't know if I can get what I really want in a reasonable amount of time for a reasonable cost.
I mean, if you go to one of those companies and let's say you want, what are they, plantation shutters, or you want those roll-up shutters, right? The ones you just push the button and they go up.
No. I'm talking solar powered, controlled by Google Home only. That's it. That's all I care about. I want the blinds to open as the sun's rising, man.
You should call Elon and maybe he can get that Tesla solar to do it for you.
I mean, I have everything else. Next house, I will probably invest in the Tesla solar.
Yeah. I'm going to get that Tesla water,
Yeah, that's the best. Tesla phone,
Tesla
water. Somebody asked about that. There are comments about what's going on with Tesla in Austin.
You could get it's 3 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. So yeah, it's that extra. I don't even know what that would do. Everybody, all the chemists out there, you idiot, that would do blah blah blah.
Like, yeah, that's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
Or it is a thing, but it'll kill you.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, you had other articles. Let's read the other articles. For whatever reason, I'm gonna have to shut this down to get it to work. Go full Graham Stephan, get a Mustang in your living room. I bought that.
Oh my gosh.
I can't fit the real one in my living room, but he shoots in his garage, I think. So what up, fellas? He's back. Why is Austin trying to steal the San Antonio Spurs? I think they're only going to play like one game up here. They're going to play. They're going to take Austin FC, and they're going to put a basketball court.
No. A lot of people don't know, but at Cedar Park Center, I've seen tons. They have the Austin Spurs. That's the feeder team to the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, so they're talking about playing a couple games in Austin this year.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, half their future team is already here. What's the problem with that?
Their future. How much do you think they make in summer league? Like doing summer league like that? What? Like
I looked it up at some point. It wasn't a ridiculous. I mean, it was like It was like 100,000 from what I remember.
So I was watching this thing. I forget who it was. They were talking about, we're going sports. In football, for preseason football, they're like, yeah, the owners love preseason football because the players only make like $500 a game. Can you imagine putting your body on the line like that in a game for only making $500?
No, I think you're talking about the cheerleaders or something.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah, all it's right. In my living room or in my office.
Oh yeah, look at that.
3D printed Cybertruck.
My neighbor bought the Rivian, and I just saw it the other day, and it's nice, but I would still probably get the Cybertruck.
It's well built. Don't know about charging. Really? At least right now. And oh my gosh, you see their numbers? Their numbers are worse than Austin's numbers. Real estate numbers.
As far as pricing goes?
Well, they're high priced, and they're at a huge loss right now.
That's interesting. I mean, did you see? I love that. I love that the current administration is going after and saying you need to buy electric vehicles, and you need to buy GM or Ford vehicles. Yet I forget which one of them is taking their plant back to Mexico. It's like, wait, what? And you got I'm only saying that because you have Tesla here, and I'm not trying to be building Teslas in the United States.
I'm not trying to be ageist here, but I am going to say this: like, how many 87-year-olds or however old all of our top politicians are right now? How many of them understand a decent level of tech beyond novice or noob?
No, not very much.
Really, right?
Hey, they're very good at, hey, you can't say that. Pelosi's got like a 100 for 100 and her husband in buying stocks. So they're the best stock pickers.
You don't have to understand tech to purchase based on what your advisors tell you.
I need my stock advisor to be their stock advisor. The problem is I'd get Martha Stewarted and I'd be the one to go to jail. So anyway,
and that's any side of the coin. That is specifically to the age of the people that are running and investing.
So Sal, we didn't even talk about the rental thing. It says I'm about to complete a house as a new build, wondering if I put it on the market as for sale or rent it out in Hudson Bend area.
I think it depends if you told the lender this was going to be your primary residence.
What was that?
I said, depends if you told the lender this is going to be your primary residence.
That's a good point.
Be careful there.
Well, I mean, because you're virtually doing mortgage fraud.
If the intent is changing, then that's a whole other conversation.
If you could show a reason why you didn't move into that property and you closed it, then I would recommend renting it out over selling. Oh my God, a realtor doesn't want to make a paycheck. I can't believe it. I would recommend, it depends too. It depends on, how the neighborhood's selling, how much equity you're actually going to have. So I would still recommend you rent it versus sell it. That's just me. But
what's interesting about this is I think you'll take a pretty heavy hit if you were to sell it right now, specifically because you're walking distance to Lake Travis, and the lake is like 30 to 40 feet lower than it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So it's everything's a discount right now. So if you're looking for waterfront property, Sal's got a house that he might consider selling for you.
That's actually a great point. I had a client that was looking at a property back when the water was really far down, and that property could not sell. We looked at it for a little bit and he decided not to buy it. It just needed a lot of work. The moment, we had 3 weeks of rain, the moment that rain came up, that house went under contract. So, yeah, you might be taking a hit there, Sal. I would recommend, looking at the numbers. The other thing is if you're going to close on it and then sell it, you're going to probably pay what, 45% in short-term gains. So I had a client that did that. They purchased a property, owned it about 7 months, and decided to sell and went back. And we literally had to, do the math to make sure. And they met with the CPA first. So I think your first step, Sal, should be to meet with a CPA. Make sure you're not going to have to pay short-term gains. Secondly, either decide to rent it out. If you decide to rent it out, keep in mind, you're still going to pay capital gains if you've never moved into the property. So it might be beneficial to live in it for 2 years and then rent it out, or rent it for however long and then live in it for 2 years. That way, when you sell it, but again, you could be committing mortgage fraud. So I don't know. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do
it. Was that your Graham Stephan voice or Vice?
I think it's voice because there's 2 letters.
I mean, I don't even know how to do a Graham Stephan impersonation. What's up, you guys? It's Graham.
You gotta
here.
plug your nose when you do it.
Yeah.
What's up, you guys?
What's up? It's Graham. It's you guys here. I can't. Did I tell you that I met?
Like button.
Did I tell you I met Meet Kevin and I told him I don't watch his channel?
That's funny. At the Tesla thing, yeah?
I was like, oh, hey, what's up, Kevin? How's it going, man? Good stuff with all your channel. I don't watch, but good stuff. And he's just like, what the fuck? I don't know. Anyway, primary rental. What happened here? What are the pros and cons of making my primary? It's currently pros and cons of me. Oh, a rental. That's what he meant. Okay, a rental. It's currently have a little over 1 million, but great MI for 2.5%.
I mean, you have to figure out what the comps are for rental. You might think you're going to rent it out for X amount and it's not even close, or it's substantially more.
Yeah, I would run the numbers on it. I don't think renting is a bad choice. I mean, if you look at rental rates, we're seeing them come up quite a bit. That the challenge you run into with renting is what I've run into here in Austin, is that no matter what, you can't homestead it. So your taxes are going to go up a lot. And that's the one issue I have with Austin, buying in Austin. We just closed our New Braunfels property. That place is rented. I don't know if I ever gave an update on that. That place is rented. It rented for a little less than I thought it would rent for, but still higher than what I initially thought it would rent for. I jokingly said it would rent for $2,800 a month.
And a factor, especially if you're an out-of-state owner or even out-of-country owner, you have to consider the potential for property management fees.
Right.
If you're local, that's a different conversation. Or if you have like 1 or 2 properties, that's a different conversation. But if you're trying to build a portfolio and you're not living here, that you have to bake in those costs too. So it starts to eat into your profit pretty substantially, especially considering what Jeremy said, no homestead and ever increasing tax rates. Not tax rates.
My girl that I use for that, her name is Abigail. And I want to say she charges 8 or 9% of the monthly mortgage. So, I mean, you're talking, let's say like the one I just rented, $3,600 a month. You're talking a couple $100 a month times 0.09, $300 to rent it out a month. So now you're at $3,300. Let's say the taxes go up and you're paying two grand a month in taxes, because that's possible. I mean, your mortgage on that place better only be $1,000 because you're barely breaking even. So I think you're right. That is one of the biggest problems I've seen in buying in Austin. But I think you have to go into it knowing fully aware of what you're doing though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see this. I got to see this. Meet Kev is a gangster, straight up exposed Grant Cardone.
That's true. That was one of his earlier things too.
What is his earlier things? I never seen that.
Oh yeah. In fact, I would almost say that's what put him on the map. That's my opinion.
What was Grant Cardone doing? To be fair, a transfer could expose Grant? Teenager. Oh, okay. I mean, what is he just, is it as a pon? I mean, I don't know. I hate to use the word Ponzi scheme on a
He
live
just
stream.
talked about how much you're paying for what type of service, and he just broke everything down. And he bought his, I believe he bought his course, and then talked about that sort of stuff. Like, this is what you're paying for. But it was over.
I mean, wasn't Grant Cardone the one that went out and said, "Oh, you should buy properties and not live in it. You should rent"? Is that what the BS was saying?
That way he was.
You know what's interesting is that I was going to make a reaction video to this, but I thought, you know what, I hate, like, I don't want to be seen as copying other people. But Graham Stephan did a breakdown video about Patrick Bet-David. He did a breakdown video about not Gordon Ramsay. What's his name? Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, about the market. And what's interesting, why I say this is that it's interesting that, like, Grant Cardone would go out and say, hey, you don't buy a property, when the amount of deductions you can have with owning a property, even if the market's crashing, you still have deductions that you wouldn't have if you were renting, right? And so I think now, if you're going to sell that, you're going to sell at a loss, which some people are fine with that because they made so much money in the stock market. They take a loss here, they can write that loss off, boom, bada bing, bada boom, no taxes. So there's that kind of stuff that happens there. But I mean, I think about this. Now, a lot of people think as real estate agents, we just want to make money, which, look, everybody's here to make money, right? But
yeah, I mean, I think his whole big thing, especially Dave Ramsey, but also, or other way around, Grant Cardone versus Dave Ramsey. I think the big thing is, if you can buy a multi-unit, if you can buy a duplex or a multi-family that's, you know, quadplex or something, and then you can have everyone else pay your portion of the rent, then that you have so much more leverage quicker than if you were to start focusing on single family residences. I think that's all they're trying to get at, because
okay, so not,
you know, but it's not an asset if you're paying on it.
Right. How many people want to buy? But how many people really want to buy, other than Aaron, want to buy an 8-plex and live in one unit of a 8-plex? Not too many people.
Right. I mean, you have to think about your family dynamics, and it doesn't fit for most people.
But the point I was getting to is that I've created a lot of wealth by purely buying and selling properties personally, not other people, but buying and selling properties personally. So there's think about it. If you're 28 years old, you just got married, you buy a house, you could have bought a house, I mean, back when, for $300,000. You can't do that as much anymore. 300,000. Let's say that house goes up 100,000 in equity and you sell it. That's like making another 70 grand a year, right? So that year you just made another 70 grand. Now you put that down on the next property. Now it's more money down for the next property. That property is going to go up in value. And then the next property. That's why Aaron on this channel buys so much damn real estate, is because it's one of those assets that sits there. You can see it. You know, a lot of people look at NFTs and stuff like that, you know, non-fungible tokens. You can actually see it. That's why I like NFTs, because you can actually see it. Baseball cards, you know, things like that. They're physical things. When you buy stocks, can you imagine buying $100,000 of an oil stock and then pulling up and dropping off $100,000 worth of oil at your house? That'd be crazy. But I mean, you really can't duplicate that. It's hard to duplicate that. And so I think that's why I've gone so hard in the paint. That's why I've been selling real estate, is the fact that really, even myself, I've made a lot of money buying and selling homes. You're constantly moving up in life. So
I think with us, it's just easier for us to, you know, kind of move and purchase using either a BRRRR strategy or just finding an investment, putting, you know, a little bit down, and then acquiring that property, because we are often privy to these deals, especially if they're off market or if they're sold by another agent or something, more so than the larger commercial deals or multifamily that's over 4. You know, so we have direct access to it all the time. I probably get 20 emails a day, and I don't think I'm exaggerating with this, 20 emails a day on something that people are trying to offload. Yeah. Now, most of those are highly saturated and not really a deal, but they could be an opportunity for the right person. It's so much to weed through. You just never know. But at least we get them. We have the ability to weed through it.
What about Gerald? I heard they're building a Disney there. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Mouth ears. Yeah.
Is it worth buying in Gerald, Texas, with Austin surrounding market correcting? I want to hear your take on this, but here's my take. I think Gerald is one of the cities that is going to be a huge benefactor of Samsung going into Taylor, wherever over there.
Taylor, man.
Taylor. I think
very far.
I think if you're looking at from a purely financial investment standpoint, I'm looking at something that I'm going to buy and hold for 10 to 15 years. And I'm looking at Hutto. I'm looking at Gerald. I'm looking at Rockdale. Those areas you're going to see long-term gains as. Is Ian a realtor? Ian, do you sell homes? Or wait, hold on. Ian doesn't sell homes. He just eats catfish.
Yeah. Eat catfish, travel the world, and every once in a while homes are done. Yeah, man. I think he's kidding. I think he's trolling me.
Yeah, I think he's trolling too.
Okay.
Yeah, if you need a recommendation for a commercial agent, email me because I do have a good commercial agent. I don't sell commercial. I should, but I don't. All right. I'm the owner builder of this house. What? Don't get it. What other articles did you have? I wanted to talk about, man, I'm pissed that I can't pull up articles or anything on here. What else did you have? Because you had the Apple, you had that.
Yeah, I got this one. I pulled it up.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah. Like Tops Texas with highest price for new homes.
That's new home builds,
right? Say it again.
Yeah. So new data from homesusa.com shows that the average price for a newly built home in Austin was $541,000. Meanwhile, Dallas Fort Worth new construction passed $500,000 mark. So it's not that much of a difference from Dallas. I mean, 41 grand, still 41 grand.
You're right.
Oh, dude, I was reading this article that blew my mind. I wish I could pull it up. It was talking about how when people are buying starter homes, over the years, the price per square foot for a starter home has not actually increased. It was weird how they talked about it, but what's happening is as homes are being built, they're being built larger. So the starter home being like a 1,200, 1,500 square foot home, homes are being built larger. So the price per square foot is staying the same, but the price of homes is going up. So it's a really interesting way to think about it. It had only gone up marginally since like the 80s as far as what the price per square foot for a home was. But if you think about it, if how many clients do you have right now, Ian, that are like, yeah, I just need a 1,400 square foot home?
That goes back to demographics. I think it goes back to the age in your family composition. There are a lot of people that are dinks or single and have grown kids, that sort of thing. So it's pretty high, the amount of people that are fine with a smaller home. And especially, and we've talked about this on this channel multiple times, generally the price per square foot for a rental or for an investment is higher when the total square footage is smaller, right? So if you're buying in an investment neighborhood and there's a bunch of 4 bedrooms, the smaller 4 bedroom will probably rent close to the same amount. And that's huge, right? So I actually have a lot of clients that are fine with smaller square footages. And then thinking about how many people are not planning to have kids in the future. I think it depends on Texas versus suburbs versus where they're working. There's so many variables in there. If you're putting it right next to the Tesla plant, what are the demographics of the people that are working at the Tesla plant?
Right.
Like you always want to think about that. So it's not a straight answer.
Right. I mean, I would say for the most part, most people need 2,000 square feet and larger is what I would say most people talk to me about. They either need 3 bedroom because they have a kid with an office.
Look at Joe's comment.
Yeah, it's true. I was actually going to bring this question up in a second. Yeah, I'd say most people want to buy 2,000 square feet. 4-bedroom. One thing I want to point on this article. So the guy they quote in this article, Ben Cabrillo, he does all the listings for like all the builders. And so he charges like a flat rate thing and he just lists the home. So everybody always goes, oh, the biggest real estate company is Ben Cabrillo. But all they do is like they're a discount lister. And so they just put listing prices out on the MLS. So they don't really sell a lot of homes. The builder uses them because they have a contract, whatever. Anyway, I don't know anything about Ben Cabrillo, if he's got a good business or not. But what he says here is 22.2% jump from last June to this June. That if you look at what the prices have done from June of last year to June of this year, it's only 9 or 11% increase. So that explains why you're seeing builders drop prices $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. If you saw my video I did yesterday, builders are dropping prices, but they already like listed them low and then raised the price, and now they're just coming back down. So interesting. But the question, Ian, of the day, this is the biggest question of the day. Talk about Amazon. Is that a question?
That's not it. That's an imperative statement.
I heard Amazon. So from some sources that Amazon was slowing down some of their builds. I don't know if it had to do with not finding enough people. They didn't make their numbers, something of that effect. But here's the question of the day. Go ahead.
I mean, you had a shift in CEOs, right? So I think that's something to consider with Amazon. You know, a completely different strategy. I don't know much about this new CEO or what his vision is. I know that Jeff was heavy into Rivian, kind of liked Austin, heavy into Austin, and we have a few manufacturing plants. But as far as new growth, I mean, there were supposed to be Rivian vans. That's another thing Rivian was. They were supposed to do all these vans and stuff that were going to become Amazon's fleet. And I don't know where that's at because Rivian's trying to make 4 cars at once. That's part of why their numbers are so bad. So that's a direct impact on Amazon's bottom line. I think it is finances.
Yeah. Sorry, JQX. I know the numbers are out. I cannot get my screen to share, so I'll have to fix it after the live stream. But yes, we are 633 was the average, the median for Austin. Do you guys buy any of the inflation numbers? Well, as of the other day, the current administration said that inflation was at 0. So I don't know that I buy those numbers. No, it's 8.5%. So it had gone down a little bit from 9.1 to 8.5%, something like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think inflation is what is hurting the prices in Austin. What's hurting the prices in Austin is you had builders going rogue, building a ton of properties. Interest rates hit. Buyers were on the sideline for the longest time that were getting priced out. Now that interest rates out, I think a lot of buyers are just scared about interest rates, when the reality is, if you are going to buy, like, everybody's just assuming the market's going to crash. Oh, the market's going to crash. The market's going to crash. Prices just went up last month. Like, I get that you want to buy a lower price, yet now is the opportunity to write an offer below list price. We said this earlier. I have clients going under contract on properties under list price and getting incentives. And, you know, they can use some of those incentives to buy down the rate. Even Sarah said, don't buy down the rate. Just get the rate, hang on to it. And then if you're going to, refi later. She's saying not to buy down the rate right now. But what do you think are some of the issues that are plaguing Austin as far as all these price drops? Jan.
Is that to me?
Yeah. No. The other person sitting behind
the other it could have been to Mario. Just turn the question around. I still keep going back to the same conversation. There are a lot of people that are waiting, that we know are waiting. They have opportunities for houses, and they're either caught in the cycle of fear of, well, if prices are going up, then I'll need to wait, or what's going to happen with work and other interest rates. Like, there's so many people that don't know, that I'm talking to, that they just don't want to make a decision. They don't want to commit. And I'm looking at it like, if you're paying cash, do you know how strong your position is right now?
Yeah.
Before, remember, you said this multiple times. You're like, just because you have cash, that doesn't mean anything these days, right? I mean, it helps, but it's not fantastic. Doesn't mean you can get a deal. Today, you can get one heck of a deal if you're paying cash and willing to close. There are so many sellers that are just panting, waiting. They're tired. They're looking for you. So,
well, I think so. Joe put it's a good question here. He was also Mark Say from Leaving California. How about a video about new home builders not now getting into single family rental homes? I think what people hear is they hear small cases of things happen and it blows up into something that it's not. There are still plenty of builders building homes that are not for rent. Yet there are a few neighborhoods that they're building for rent. So yes, there are a few. Yes, if you're an investor, it's a great opportunity to get in and buy something. You know, did I tell you, Steve,
I don't hear you. Is it just me?
so I just went on a whole tirade about how amazing you are and you didn't hear anything. So God,
There you go. That's good.
no. So anyway, I was talking about this new home builder thing that Joe said, by the way, and I made a funny joke too. I don't know if you heard it. I said Joe was Mark Say from Leaving from California, but I don't think there's very many, like the amount of builders that are building single family rental homes are very, very small. It's not as big as people are making it sound. Yet, if you're a VA buyer or a vet buyer, you're seeing prices reduced in some of these new builds. It might be worth it to buy. Now, the thing with that, Jazembe says, John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. Now that not all of us can afford a $3,000 a month mortgage. What's really interesting about that is that you don't have to have a $3,000 mortgage. Obviously, there's more opportunities. But the thing I think people miss when they go, I'm not going to buy, it's too expensive, or I'm not going to buy X. Obviously, number one, if you're not in a position to buy, don't buy. Jump.
Period. Like that needs to be echoed. Can you say it one more time for the people in the back?
Yeah, if you are not in the position to purchase, don't purchase. If you're going to buy a home to only foreclose on it 2 years later because it wasn't the right fit or whatever, don't do it. Yet, here's what people just, I think, are missing completely. Yes, interest rates are high. If I had the opportunity to purchase a property and I could purchase a property doing 3.5%, 5%, maybe a USDA zero down or a VA zero down, and I could purchase a home that I was going to hold on for 5+ years, gain equity on, and every single month I make a payment, I have deductions now at the end of the year, because you can't deduct anything from renting. You can deduct everything from owning. So I think that's something that is really important that I think a lot of people miss. If you're not in a position, don't buy, right? It's pure and simple. I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy a sports car when you can afford a Toyota Corolla, right? Go buy the Toyota Corolla. You got a car, get from A to B, make that money. Are most of the home builders?
Unless the sports car brings you,
you know, who's not
brings you more business.
Builders are not stupid rich. You want to know who's stupid rich? Developers. Developers are stupid rich.
That's a true statement right there.
No audio. Yeah, you got me. Yeah. Versus Jim. Yeah, I said this. No surprise. Surprise, no surprise. JQX. If you're watching this channel, I've been saying this. I've been saying this was going to happen. Nobody listened to me. Everybody thought, oh, just the realtor saying that, you know, everybody's buying homes. Jeez. Comment section, some of these videos are pretty funny. Anyway, what were we talking about earlier? Just let me shut up. You talking in.
I think that actually aligns completely with the article that we had just posted earlier with the Ben Caballero, who sells over $1 billion of real estate a year. Kind of ridiculous. But like you said, as a discount listing agent. So, but yeah, we know the prices are rising for new construction because all the new construction from the last year or two haven't closed yet. And so those prices are still up there. Even if you renegotiate the prices, a lot of the renegotiated prices could still be higher than what they were when they put them under contract.
Have you had any that you've been able to renegotiate the price on?
I'm actually waiting to hear back on one. I've had one say nothing, so I'm assuming a no. One that I'm waiting on, and another that they actively said they're working on it, and I don't know what that means yet. So I'll keep you informed.
We've had one that's been negotiated, another one that we're working on right now. Janie's working on. I think it depends on the builder and the neighborhood. If they're renegotiating, if they're dropping prices, I don't think you shouldn't say, hey, by the way, prices dropped 15 grand on your properties. We want to reduce ours 15 grand. I don't think there's nothing stopping you from doing that, but the builder can say no, right? And you could potentially just back out and buy something else. So the challenge, and I warn everyone, is that if you back out, Ian, what will happen?
I mean, there are a lot of things. There's the potential earnest money miss, right? If you put a lot of money down, especially if you added any kind of adjustments, you added floors or all that sort of stuff that you wanted, options, well, they're not going to give you any of that back. That's going to be a walk away. You're going to eat that cost. But if you can get another house for 100,000 less and you only put, 50,000 down, it might end up being worth it to you, but then you have to check the interest rate. What were you thinking you were going to lock in, or could you have locked in versus what will you be purchasing now? There's all sorts of variables in there.
Yeah. I mean, so there's some issues that you could run into. Don't make sure you know what those are if you're going to run into them. That way you don't get blindsided. Oh God.
Brandon, yes. That's all I'm saying before you pull up the question.
The next question I want to build up. Mario, great question here. Is home builder sentiment at a low? Yes. So what's interesting about the home builder sentiment, I remember in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, hearing about how builder sentiment was at an all-time low in 2020. This is the middle of the pandemic, and I'm going, wow, okay, so this means the market's going to crash. Yeah. So when I hear builders saying that their sentiment's at an all-time low, it's basically builders going, oh, it's really tough to sell homes right now. It's the builders. It's not buyers' sentiment on builders. It's builder sentiment. So basically a survey on how they feel what's happening in the market. So I could care less what builder sentiment is. I really could care less, but it's an all-time low. Any thoughts on that, Ian?
I mean, I think it depends on what builder you're referring to. If you're talking about someone like D.R. Horton, who's the largest landowner in the state of Texas, well, I think what they think matters a little bit, at least to add into the pot of things that you're considering.
So let me ask you this, though.
But they're not the be-all, end-all for sure.
Right. So builder sentiment's at an all-time low, and builders go, you know what? It's getting harder to make money in real estate. It's getting harder to make money with this single-family nonsense. Let's stop building single-family homes. What happens? Prices continue to go up. Why?
Yeah, that's not actually gonna change, right?
Right.
But like, I think it may have been Deep D who had talked about the Bar W Ranch property. Someone talked about the Bar W Ranch property and said that they went to D.R. Horton, asked for a renegotiation, and D.R. Horton said, ha, not going to do it, right? Because they don't have to. So, and the builders, they have no reason to stop building, but they can help control the inventory.
Right. I mean, if builders stop building, it's just going to keep inventory low. I mean, there's all these people, Kristina Smallhorn, who was on here earlier, not on here, but commenting earlier, she has really gone into the fact that we're 5 million units behind where we need to be. So inventory is still at an all-time low, yada, yada, yada. We could be, two things can be right at true at the same time. We could be behind in the number of new builds that we need to keep up with current demand, and demand could also not be there for the price of that property, right? Two things can be right at the same time. So I think that what we're seeing is a lot of these builders are just pricing their own selves out. they haven't been able to go through and really determine their overall cost by end of day and put that cost out to make that margin they need. They have a margin in mind that they need, but they've had a lot that's a moving target now. And so I think builder sentiment being low is the fact that they can't hit that target anymore. When everybody's putting their name on a list and they could just not even build a property and you have 15 people bid on it, builder sentiment's going to be super freaking high. Realtor sentiment. How is your realtor sentiment right now, Ian?
I think the other question for builder sentiment specifically is, are people thinking that builders are doing a poor job?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean,
right? I think that's really more of the crux of the conversation.
All right, Kevin's leaving, so that means we need to go.
Oh, darn.
I want to answer this question. Would you advise against? You said yes without even me clicking on it. A Starlight home is a starter home. Thoughts on the building?
Starlight Homes, from what I understand, is like if you were going to take Kia, Hyundai, Genesis. I think Genesis is the high end, right? And then Kia is the low end, and you have Hyundai in the middle. Starlight is the Kia to Ashton Woods is as Genesis. So they're like the discount version, but you still pay for a lot of the premium brand names.
Here's the thing about Starlight. Starlight, or a company like, was it LSI, or what is it called?
LGI.
LGI, yeah. So
the ones that don't give you sod.
Yeah. What these builders have done a good job of is being able to have good systems in place to stamp and repeat that model, right? So they only have like 4 models or whatever it is, and they know how many models they can put on a street. They know how many slabs of whatever countertop they're going to need. They know how much whatever. So their systems are very good in that. A lot of the things they do on the other side, some of their tactics are a little deceptive, in my opinion. So when they market a property, they market the property as how much the mortgage is. Well, that's not the price. How much is the home?
Exactly. Oh,
right?
my God.
So that's one thing I think that if you're a consumer and you're looking for, okay, I need a mortgage of $1,500 a month. Well, look at that. Starlight's got $1,300 a month. Awesome. Yeah, that's actually $2,500 a month mortgage, because they're not putting in taxes. They're not putting in the other stuff that you'd need to know. So that's where, and what's the price of the home? So that's why I think, I wouldn't say that they're, I hate to use the word deceptive, but they are very deceptive in how they market properties.
See, I mean, it's not really much different than a model home, and then none of those things are what you think you're paying. So it's not much different than that. But when you see a company, a professional company like that, throwing out bandit signs saying, call this number for a no down payment home, that's a tier below. And they do that.
Right.
You forgot about me, huh?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, my phone was going off. Somebody got really mad at me the other week because you were talking to me and I was like, okay, I asked your opinion and I said, wait, what did you say? I don't think people understand. I have text messages coming through constantly. Oh, camera died.
Can't be kicking cords under the desk, man.
Yeah. It's hard running a show. It's not easy.
It is. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of elements to it.
Yeah. Anyway. There was one other question I want to get to here. The developer question was a good one. Developers make money off the end deal. So they do a very good, I mean, they make a lot of money. They don't really have a 9 to 5. They have a midnight to midnight more than anything. Why is it not letting me? I'll start cam. There we go. Oh, wrong cam. Jeez. Ian, go ahead.
To Black W's question, I think you have them in an order that I somewhat agree with. If for me, if I were to purchase, that's the order, lowest to highest.
All right. We've just had a crappy show today, man. I feel like that's why Jeremy makes the big bucks.
No
Jeremy
way.
took the table and destroyed the camera. It was like the time that girl said, what's
SpaceX?
What's SpaceX?
That girl.
I'm going to see her next week. We're going to see her next week. We're grabbing lunch with her.
Oh yeah, she'll be there. Okay.
Are you grabbing lunch with me?
I mean, I'm driving on Monday, so we'll see.
What time do you get in?
I haven't planned that far ahead.
Yeah, I get in at I did one of those JSX flights. I want to try it out.
That sounds cool, man.
So I get in at 11, and then I have a lunch set up with about 15 agents. I'm meeting 15 agents. So, all right, it's been a great show. I can't get my camera fixed. We're just gonna go. Ian, thanks for showing up late. We missed you.
Hey man, I'm here. I'm still here.
Make sure you drop more comments. I want to hear from you on the stream afterwards. All right.
I'm in